What's up, YouTube? Mostly Nerdy here, doing some Farron keep in Dark Souls 3. I hang right here and pick up these two items right away since they're right there. But while I'm picking them up, just to let you know, this whole area is poisoned whenever you get into the water, or sludge, or swamp, whatever you want to call it. And you can see that whenever you get into the deeper water, it makes your roll really slow and lackadaisical. That's just the source word, guys. So, but basically you're going to want to go from fire to fire here. Staying on the land if you're too concerned with getting poisoned. It's going to happen, guys. So you're not going to be able to avoid it. But I actually ran through this once and picked up a bunch of stuff. So there's going to be a lot of stuff you can pick up in the area that's kind of out in the open, like this one right here. I missed this one earlier, but you're going to want to pick this up because this is a Nestus shard. So you want to reinforce that flask. So I'll put up a thing at the end of the video that shows you my aimless running through because I panicked because I was getting poisoned. The poison doesn't really do that much damage, but it can be a pain whenever you have to fight people. And your health might get low. So basically follow the fires, and then you're going to come up these stairs and you're going to see your first real enemies in the area. And there's two of them up here, but this is the first flame that we are going to have to put out. We have to put out 3 flames to open up a door to get to where we need to be. So take these guys out. They're not overly difficult, so it's kind of just the same as the regular enemies from before. I'm going to transition past the cutscene, and the cutscene is over. So don't you want to know what's behind that door? I know you do. So we're going to come this way and we're going to pick up this purple stuff to make sure that you don't get poisoned, which is impossible to not get poisoned in this area. So once again, don't worry about the poison. But we're going to come down this path. We're going to head towards the second fire we have to put out, and there's about 1 enemy in between. There's actually 2, but there's 1 that you need to worry about. But don't worry, I have a surefire way of beating this guy. So first thing you want to do is you want to run at him with no plan whatsoever. And then he's going to grab your head and try to rip it off. But you're going to be like, I'm so tough that didn't even kill me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump in this fire to try to kill myself and trick him into killing himself. That didn't work. So we'll just go with the normal attacks. All joking aside, this guy's not that hard. I don't know why I was so derpy trying to beat him. So we're just going to want to follow the fires, and we are already at the stairs for the next fire to put out. And there's an enemy that's going to be hiding in the corner like a punk because he doesn't want to fight me. Tries to sneak up on me. This guy's a little easier than the last one. But anyway, so you want to take that guy out, you want to pick up the purple stuff again, and you can see that there is another fire to put out in another cutscene. Synopsis: 2 down, 1 to go. Once you get that cutscene out of the way, you're going to head this way towards a bridge, and you can see a bonfire behind these enemies. You can probably just run past them or take them out. Or if you're worried about the poison, you're not listening to me because poison's no big deal in this area because it's all day, every day. So what we're going to do is we're going to head towards this bonfire, but first we're going to hang a left to see that there's absolutely nothing on the left side of this building. So just go through and light the bonfire, take a rest if you have to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You can rest, and then you can see that the enemies are back, so you can take them out if you want, but you don't have to. They don't turn around or anything. So you go down this path, and you can see that there is the door that we are trying to open. We have one fire left to put out to get there. So, but first we're going to take a little detour. You come through here, you see all these slugs, and you see an item, and you take out all these slugs, get your souls, all that fun stuff. Slugs aren't like super dangerous, obviously, but pick that up, and then we will head towards where we want to go, because we're going to stop by and check out a covenant. So if you go towards this ladder, you can actually run past these things and climb the ladder. I'm sure that they'll still hit you, but if you climb this ladder, it'll take you up to a platform kind of tower thing, whatever. It's a pretty long ladder, so I'm trying to fill time here because I don't want you guys to get bored. But yeah, climb up here, and then you can see in here that there's another bonfire. And once again, there's bonfires right next to each other and all that good stuff. But what we want to do is, there's a couple things that we can get if we stay on the outside of that room. So if we come up here, there's one of these little guys that you can get items from. So chase him down and take him out and pick up your goodies. And then after you get that, if you circle around, it just takes you right to the ladder again. But there is an illusion wall that you can hit and get another item. So right here where the arch is, and pick up the item to give to the person at Firelink Shrine, and go ahead and rest at the bonfire. So from the bonfire, what you're going to want to do is pray to this wolf, and then you can join the covenant. So this covenant, I guess, is like a protector of the area kind of thing. I haven't really delved into covenants too much, but I know that they can be pretty fun. So what we actually want to do is we want to get on this platform here, and we're going to go up, and since for now we're out of the poison, you can change anything that you put on to protect yourself from poison, even though the poison's pretty much gonna happen. So you can put on like your regular gear. And then from here we're gonna see some stairs, and we're gonna run up the stairs, and then in the distance you're gonna see why we came up this way, to fight that guy. But before we go fight that guy, there's some stuff that we can get back here. So there's an opening here, and we're going to drop down. Be careful when you drop down, because you can fall to your death, as I have done many times playing Dark Souls. So don't die. That's not recommended. Dying's not recommended. So if you come back here, there's actually 3 of these little guys that you can get your stuff from, if you can get them quick enough. So you got one here, and then there's gonna be another one back in this corner, and you can take him out. The third one isn't gonna run away as quickly because he's a little further away, but you can pick that up. And then there's an item on this body here. So those 2 are pretty good depending on your build. And then if you run up here, you can see the other one off in the distance. But whenever you come up here, you're going to get enemies who come after you. They're not super dangerous or anything. They're actually just like regular guys at this point. so you shouldn't have to worry too much about it. You can either fight all the guys that come up, or you can just skip past them. You're not going to get like a whole bunch of souls or anything, and it's probably best to actually avoid fighting them just because you're going to want to save your health for the guy that we're fighting here in a second. But whenever you come here, you're going to drop down, and there's a little bit of a platform. You can see that somebody died because of the bloodstain. There's a little bit of a platform that I miss, and I take a decent amount of damage. Do not do that. That's highly not recommended. And then I'm going to do one of my death transitions here. So here comes fighting this guy. He's not that hard, but I did die a couple times, a few times, a lot of times. So one thing of note of this fight is that he can throw you off the bridge. He has a grab attack that ends in him throwing, and I learned the hard way that he can throw you off the bridge and you die no matter what. So that's why I'm picking up those souls right there. But this fight is not that hard in the sense that his attacks are easily avoided. He has that attack that does a decent amount of damage if you don't evade it, but it's pretty easy to evade. So just watch your stamina so that you can evade his attacks. But generally speaking, you want to stay close, and then it makes it so that he can't hit you from range. After you get his health to a certain level, that happens and he basically has no legs. He is the Lieutenant Dan of Dark Souls now, but it doesn't make the fight necessarily easier, and he can still hit you from pretty far away. So whenever he does this, you kind of want to try to get to the side or behind him, which is a pretty common technique in Dark Souls, I guess. And then you want to grab all the items that are around, because he has the great axe there, and a couple embers, and all that good stuff. And then if you try to climb up there, you're not going to be able to climb up there. So now we can go back to the main area where we're going to get poisoned again to put out the last fire. So what I will do is transition. So from the bonfire that has the wolf next to it that you prayed to join the covenant, you can go down the ladder, and there are all the enemies again if you rested at the bonfire, obviously. So you will end up getting sandwiched by these guys. So take them out, and then you're going to end up poisoned again because this is a deep area for the poison. So you're going to have to roll through, and it's not going to do you any good. You're going to end up poisoned. But we're going towards this big guy. There are some items to the left of where I'm standing. I already picked them up, and I died plenty of times trying to get past this guy. So if you decide to fight this guy, know that he has powerful melee attacks, and he also will hit you from distance. And there's actually two that are pretty close to each other, so it is possible for both of them to be attacking you at the same time. That happened to me plenty of times, so it's very possible. And I would probably recommend, if you can get that attack in, I would recommend that. But I would recommend not fighting him in the swamp. You can see the fire straight ahead. I would recommend rolling towards the fire or getting to the fire so that you can fight him where if you have to dodge, you can actually dodge. So you can see all the souls I'm picking up here because I died like a bunch of times trying to fight this guy. So I'm gonna hide because I am the toughest guy in the world, and over here you can see that this is where the last fire we have to put out is, so that means another cutscene. So not only did I need the transition for the cutscene, but also for all the deaths that occurred fighting the guy through here. He is no joke. He looks like he's a normal enemy, but I promise he's not. There's something different about this guy. He killed me probably 5 or 6 times. I came at him the same way I came at everybody else, and he just kept doing that to me over and over again. Basically, you get one hit in on him, and you can see he just repeatedly does that. But every time you get a hit on him, he will pounce. Like, he'll jump and go after you. So you basically have to avoid his attacks. Because every attack he does is going to be as painful for you as the 2 that he got at the beginning of the fight against me. But after you finally beat this guy, and I say finally because I assume you're as bad as me at Dark Souls 3, but you're probably not. You can come down this way, and we're going to be introduced to new enemies here, and I'm going to try to avoid them, but it's not going to work, because you're going to have to fight them at some point. But I come back here to get this soul, and then we're going to try to avoid having to fight the enemies that are behind us. I know they're coming after me, so I'm trying to get out of there. If you don't want to pick that up, you don't have to, obviously. It's just souls for you. But we're going to go this way. Up ahead is the enemy I was talking about. They are not fun whenever they're in bunches. They curse you, which if you let your curse fill up, you're dead. It's over. Game over, bro. So try to stay out of it. You can see how quick it fills up depending on what your resistance to curse is, what equipment you're wearing, whatever. But it's easy to get cursed whenever there's multiples around you. So once you take these guys out, you can roll forward. You can see that there's more up ahead. But basically we're going to end up at the bridge again eventually here. So you can see I'm letting my curse go down just in case. But it's probably a good strategy because it's not something that fills up super slow. I don't know what my resistance was, but once you feel comfortable, go ahead and try to take this guy out. I'm pretty sure that there's multiples. You can see I got poisoned again already, but you can take this guy out and then one of them will come up and attack you. So they do the spray, and then there's a cloud that kind of hovers for a little bit. So if you stay close, you shouldn't have to worry too much about it. You can take them out and then pick up that, and I guess they drop that. The enemy dropped that. So if you come around this way, you will end up eventually hitting the door that you opened with the cutscene and the bridge that has the bonfire next to it. So you can see that there's those big guys that I don't want to fight, so we're trying to avoid them at all costs. So just stay this way, and here is where all the slugs were. There's the door that we opened, and there's the bridge. So if you come up this bridge, you'll end up hitting a bonfire, which, based on the number of flasks I have, I'm going to go ahead and rest at it. So there is something that we actually missed whenever we went through, so I'm going to run and show it to you because there's a couple things that you might want to grab. And then there's a little bit of cleanup in this area. So if you run back towards where the enemies I just told you to avoid are, then you'll end up seeing a little bit of a cave, and there's a couple items in there that we can grab. So just run back towards where the curse enemies were, and you can take these guys out because they're just gonna follow you and curse you and kill you because it's Dark Souls, as I've stated many times. Look at how close to dying I got just because there's so many in this area. And you see it's kind of easy to avoid, but they are pretty easy to damage with fire. So if you have a good pyromancer attack or anything like that, I would recommend that. And then I got a little brave there. I wouldn't recommend going in with that much curse on you already. And then, but after you take these guys out, I'll show you that there's this cave up in this corner, straight right there. And then there's a couple things that we're gonna grab in here. So you can pick that up. It's a scroll, and then there is a chest that has some equipment in it. So after you pick that up, you can just head back to where the bonfire is. If you need to heal up or fill your flask or anything like that, you can do that. And then there's a couple things on the other side of the bridge that we can pick up before we head forward towards the boss. So heading back towards the bridge, we can just run past it. I mean, obviously you can heal up if you need to, but you can just run past it, and first thing you're gonna run into is like an enemy that charges at you like a dog, like this. So this guy, I think there's a few here, but you can already see that there's some items there. What we're gonna run into is another giant crab. So if you fought the crab earlier in the game, then you know that this fight could be pretty difficult. But it's pretty easy because like the area where the giant could shoot and help you, once you get to a certain spot, I think it's past this tree, starts taking damage. So you actually don't even have to fight this guy if you don't want to. So you can dodge his attacks, or you can try to wedge yourself between him and the tree, but eventually he'll end up going down. And once he goes down, you can pick up, well, you get the ring, but you can pick up all the items that are in the area. There's a decent amount of them. You can see, this is why I figured showing the cleanup was probably worth it, just because of the sheer number of items that are here. And then there was one other item that we're gonna run up and get real quick before we move forward. It's kind of sandwiched between some people you don't want to fight though, or maybe you do. Maybe you're pretty good. Maybe you're better than me. Probably. It's more, actually, it's not even a possibility. It's a probability. So, but if you come up this way, there's some enemies here next to a bunch of dead mushroom people. So you can take these guys out. I don't even think you have to fight these guys if you don't want to. But there is an item that, depending on your build, is going to be pretty beneficial for you. So you can take them out. This one has a shield, so it can be a little more annoying than the other ones. I was just trying to break his defense instead of fighting intelligently. But you pick up the item here, and it's a sage scroll. Depending on your build, that could be pretty beneficial for you. It doesn't really help me, but this is the actual item I was talking about, and you can see that there's not one, not two, but three of the big guys right there. So I just went around to pick up the item, which is a poison gem, and then I got out of dodge. It was it would not be too smart to fight all three of these guys at once unless you are the best person in the world, or in the top 50 people in the world, or just better than me. I don't know. But I didn't even see that there was that shard there, but it's underneath the bridge. So you can run back to the bridge and you can heal up, fill your flask, whatever you want to do. And then we can move on to the next area, which is right before the boss fight for this Farron Keep area. So from that bonfire, you can just turn around and we will head through the door that we opened up by doing the 3 flames, and we will be out of the area that has the poison. So you can rejoice for that. Once we get through the door, there's some item on the right and some enemies on the right, but there's an enemy up on the left here that you're going to want to take out. So if you can get a backstab, go for a backstab. I went with the approach of glitching him against the wall here. It worked pretty well. So these guys won't attack you unless you attack them. I'm not sure if there's some sort of trigger that will make them attack you, but this is a good opportunity to get some farming in if you want to do some farming. So that's kind of what I did here. If you don't want to fight them, you don't have to. You can just skip this part, but it's easy souls, and there's like 5 of them, I think, in the area. So that's the way we're going. But you can see that there's that item there that we're gonna pick up, and then there's this guy you can pick up a few more souls for. But take him out and then pick up the item. And since I'm back here, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that I killed that guy, because I'm not sure if I did, since he glitched against the wall there, and I don't see anything, I don't hear anything, I don't think anybody's trying to attack me, so we'll just go towards the next area. If you followed me, then just drop down. Not sure why you follow me unless you glitched the guy against the wall too, otherwise you're probably just like, this is not going to help me at all, and just waited for me to get past my idiotic tangent. But there's a split here. You can see enemies fighting each other off on the left, but what we want to do is actually go to the right and go through this doorway, because there's a bonfire this way and some other stuff, and you're going to want to light this bonfire and rest, because we are almost to the boss of the area. So before we head towards the boss, we're going to head back this way. It's just a linear path opposite of where we just were. So there's a few enemies we can take out. So we take this guy out and then head up the stairs. And then there's a couple more enemies on the right. And nothing special or anything like that. Just come up and take a couple whacks at them, and if you can get backstabs, whatever's going to make it quickest for you, because these nothing special about these guys. You're not going to get a bunch of souls or difficult fight or anything like that. So go ahead and take them out, and then you got a little bit of a glimpse right there. You got another one of these guys if you fought them at the beginning of the game or anything like that. So, and take him out, and it's pretty difficult compared to the first guy, just because they assume that you're a higher level at this point. Not too tricky or anything like that. The attacks are the same. The thing that might make this fight a little more difficult is the fact that you are in a narrow hallway instead of out in the open, so dodging and all that stuff might be a little more difficult. But yeah, once you take them out, you get your prize, and then there's this item right here, and then there's this gate. And this gate might look familiar, because if you go that way, you end up back in the swamp. not the Farron Keep swamp. You end up in the swamp with the two giant crabs and the Black Knight and all that stuff. So you can ignore that if you want to. And depending on how much damage or anything you took, rest at the bonfire because we're going to head towards the boss now. I didn't take any damage because I'm awesome. If you're awesome like me, do that. So highly recommend not taking damage. So what I did here was I kind of snuck around the back side of this because there are a couple of tough enemies that are in the middle. If you remember, whenever we first came up here, there were enemies fighting each other. It was a couple of wraiths fighting these enemies, and the wraiths are no joke. So I would recommend trying to avoid that fight if you can. All the other enemies are just typical enemies, but there are the two wraiths that do a significant amount of damage whenever they hit you. Other than that, the fight's not too difficult, but they are super powerful for having two of them right next to each other. But there's some items in this area. There's an item if you go up the path there that I just ran past. I missed it during this run through, but you're going to want to pick that up. So take out this enemy and then pick up anything you might have dropped. And we're going to come up here. The door on the right is to the boss fight. But we're going to go down this path just a little bit here. You can take out these enemies. They don't attack you until you attack them for some reason. I don't know what's going on with these guys. But you're going to take them out. And here comes one of the wraiths. You can see that he has damage already because he fought the other guy, so it makes the fight a little bit easier for you. You're going to take this guy out, and he always drops a cracked red eye orb. Sometimes they drop some of their armor and stuff like that too. But what you want to do right here, this is going to make this boss fight so much easier for you. So much easier for you if I could English. Right there, that's what you want. You want to summon this guy. The reason that I would recommend summoning this guy is because you're going to be outnumbered if you don't. You're actually going to be outnumbered anyway, but this makes it a lot easier for you. And I'll show you the technique that I used. You actually get a gesture from him too. So once you have him summoned, you can head through the door, and a cutscene is going to play, and then the boss fight's going to happen. I'm not going to show the cutscene because I'm not a jerk. Or am I a jerk? I don't know. This is getting too reflective for me. Anyway, after the cutscene, you're going to be fighting the Abyss Watchers. So the first part is you fighting this guy. There's one, really just one at this point. So this is why I said you should have this guy come with you. Summon this guy because anytime he hits one of the Abyss Watchers, and so far it's just the one. Just kidding, there's that one. So now it's 2-on-2. But anytime he hits one of the Abyss Watchers, they face him. So that's beneficial for two reasons. Two main reasons anyway. One is you can heal up and they won't attack you. The other one is you can come up behind and get some backstabs. But now you can see that there's actually 3 Abyss Watchers. So the good idea is to focus on one and let him handle the other 2. He didn't die on me, so I'm not sure if he can die because he heals himself. So you can see he actually took one of them out right there. And then we kind of got him in a loop there of taking damage. So you saw how easy that was. I bet you thought the fight was over. You're so stupid. Just kidding. I thought it was over. I'm so stupid. Anyway, this is another Abyss Watcher. The big difference is that this guy has a flaming sword because they weren't doing enough damage with just the sword. But the basic strategy still applies from the beginning. Let the Phantom do some damage, get the attraction of the boss. Attraction, like they're gonna go on a date. Look at them, they're so incompatible, guys. Who would have thought? Anyway, yeah, let him get the attraction, do some damage, get your backstabs in, and then use that Phantom to your advantage. Heal up if you need to heal up so that you can stay alive. Theoretically, you could probably just watch this fight play out in front of you and not even have to hit this guy. I don't know if that's true, but I mean, you don't even have to be up on this guy fighting as aggressively as I am. But you can see that having that Phantom with you is going to help a lot. You get less overwhelmed at the beginning of the fight. I feel like this fight would be astronomically more difficult if you were by yourself. But take them out. We beat another boss, guys. So once you beat this guy, you can see the bonfire there that I'm still looking for. And oh, I see it now. It's right over here. So we're done with this area, so we can go on to another video. So do what all the YouTubers say, like, subscribe, whatever. Thanks for watching. As always, stay nerdy. That's my thing. I'm going to say it at the end of every video. I don't care if you like it or not. Stay nerdy. And in case anybody actually wanted to see it, here's me picking up all the random things that I picked up.